Welcome, rare gems. Why do highly intelligent Sigma females act so different? Here's the truth. It's not an act. It's who they are when no one's watching. Sigma females didn't wake up one day and decide to be different for the sake of it. They didn't read a self-help book and build a personality. No. They became this way by surviving, thinking deeply, observing patterns, and refusing to let the world dilute their essence. They act different because they're different, and not in some shiny, performative way, in a way that comes from years of inner work, solitude, silent struggles, and an unshakable need to live in alignment with truth. They're not loud about it. They don't need a spotlight. But you feel it when they walk into a room, that quiet self-possession, that depth, that refusal to shrink or sell out. And maybe that's you. Maybe you've always felt a little off-script, like you couldn't fully play the roles handed to you. The nice girl, the agreeable one, the people-pleaser. Maybe you've questioned things others just accept. Maybe you've felt punished for being honest or too aware or too much. But here's the wisdom. You're not broken. You're not too anything. You're just a Sigma female in a world that still hasn't figured out how to define you. And that's okay. You don't need to be defined. You just need to keep being real. Even when it's lonely. Even when it's misunderstood. So keep questioning. Keep observing. Keep honoring that strong, intuitive, independent mind of yours. Because your difference isn't your flaw. It's your superpower. And if that resonated with you even a little, then do yourself a favor. Watch the video all the way through. Not for validation, but to remind yourself that you're not the only one walking this path. And trust me, there's strength in knowing that. Number one, they don't act different to stand out. Society just hasn't figured out how to categorize them. Most people think highly intelligent Sigma females are trying to make a statement, like they're going out of their way to be different or rebellious. But the truth? They're not trying to be anything. They're just being real in a world where everyone's busy copying everyone else. They don't wear certain clothes to shock you. They don't speak differently to sound deep. They're not sitting out of the group chat to prove a point. It just doesn't make sense to them to pretend. While most people are rehearsing how to act, what to say, or how to be liked, Sigma females are simply being themselves, raw, unfiltered, and fully present. And that in itself makes people uncomfortable. Why? Because society doesn't know where to put women like this. They're too bold to be passive, too quiet to be loud, too logical to be emotional, and too intuitive to be fooled. So people start labeling them intimidating, cold, aloof, weird, too serious. But that's just code for, she doesn't play by the script we're used to. You see, Sigma females weren't born to blend in. They were born to question the system everyone else blindly follows. And because they don't chase attention or wear their intelligence like a crown, people mistake their depth for distance. But make no mistake, behind that calm face is a mind that's been watching everything, thinking, dissecting, understanding way more than she lets on. They don't act different to stand out. In fact, they'd love to just exist in peace. But when you're real in a world built on filters, algorithms, and fakery, you will stand out, whether you want to or not. So if you've ever felt misunderstood for simply being you, know this. You're not the problem. You're the proof that authenticity still exists, and the world doesn't know how to handle it. Keep watching. You're about to find out why that difference is your biggest strength. Number two, they've mentally left the herd years ago, and they're not looking back. Highly intelligent Sigma females don't just act like they don't care what people think. They genuinely don't. Not out of arrogance, but because they've already been through the phase where they questioned it all. And they realized early on that the herd was chasing things that never actually mattered. While other people were busy trying to blend in, be liked, or follow the crowd, she was quietly watching it all with a strange sense of distance. Popularity, temporary, trends, exhausting, fitting in, a full-time performance that drains your soul. Sigma females figured that out way before most people even noticed they were being programmed. This isn't some dramatic, I'm not like other girls story, it's just truth. She never felt the need to broadcast her life, follow the crowd's timeline, or fake laugh in rooms that didn't feel right. She saw the social games for what they were, a never-ending loop of approval-seeking, people-pleasing, and silent self-betrayal. So she mentally checked out, quietly, no big exit, no dramatic speech. She just stopped playing. And once you stop playing a game you never believed in, there's no reason to go back. Now, people might say she's distant or too independent, but here's the real reason. They just can't control her. She's not chasing validation. She's not afraid of being alone. She's not addicted to being seen. Because once you stop needing the herd, you start hearing your own voice again. You start living based on what feels right to you, not what looks good on Instagram or gets applause from people you don't even respect. So if you've ever felt like you left the crowd behind and you're not sure if that's a good thing, trust this. You're not lost. You're just finally on your own path. Stay there. It's where your power lives. Number 3. They have no interest in power games. They're too busy studying the rules from a psychological distance. Sigma females don't waste time trying to win the games everyone else is obsessed with. They're not climbing social ladders, battling for status, or trying to prove they're better than anyone. That stuff, it doesn't excite them, it exhausts them. While most people are out there playing power games, trying to be the loudest voice in the room, the most liked, the most followed, Sigma females are standing off to the side, quietly observing. Not because they're shy, not because they're passive, but because they're analyzing. Watching who needs to be seen, who's faking confidence, who's manipulating the rules to feel powerful. They don't get caught up in chasing titles, followers, or some illusion of success. They see through the surface-level hustle. They look at the system itself and ask, who built this? Who benefits from this? And do I even want what they're all chasing? That level of awareness, that's what separates them. Sigma females aren't here to compete. They're here to understand. And once they understand the rules of the game, they usually decide not to play it at all. Not because they can't, but because they realize it's not worth it. The prize at the end, attention, power, approval, feels empty to someone who values freedom over control. And here's the thing. When you're not playing power games, no one can manipulate you. You're unpredictable, uncontrollable. That's why people often feel unsettled around Sigma females. You can't outplay someone who's not even in the arena. So while others are burning out trying to prove themselves, Sigma females are sitting back, building something real, something that doesn't need applause to exist. They don't want to be the queen of someone else's game. They'd rather build their own world and rule it in silence. And once you get to that mindset, everything changes. You stop chasing noise, and you start creating meaning. Number 4. They don't broadcast their intelligence because real power doesn't need applause. Sigma females don't walk into a room trying to prove how smart they are. You won't see them flexing their intelligence or trying to dominate conversations. They're not in it for the applause, the recognition, or the spotlight. Why? Because real power doesn't scream. It observes, calculates, and moves quietly. They're the type to sit through a conversation and catch every contradiction, every shift in tone, every detail that others miss. But they won't say a word, not because they don't have something to say, but because they're watching, studying, reading between the lines, and if they do speak up, it'll be surgical. Calm, clear, and straight to the truth. No ego, no fluff, just precision. The thing is, most people underestimate them. They confuse quiet with clueless. Huge mistake. Sigma females are silent assassins of perception. By the time you think you fooled them, they've already figured out your patterns, your weaknesses, and probably what you'll say next. But they don't show their cards unless they absolutely have to. And if you ever do get to see how sharp they truly are, it means one thing: you've earned their trust. Because they don't hand out access to their mind like freebies. It's not a performance. It's a privilege. While others chase validation and approval, Sigma females are playing a deeper game. They're not here to impress you. They're here to understand the room and stay 10 steps ahead without needing to be seen doing it. So if you're lucky enough to witness their brilliance in action, know this: it wasn't for show. It was a signal. Quiet, powerful, and very intentional. Because when you truly have power, you don't need to broadcast it. You just become impossible to ignore, even in silence. Number 5. They never idolize people, only observe them with curiosity. Sigma females don't put anyone on a pedestal. not a celebrity, not a spiritual guru, not a partner, not even a so-called expert. They can admire someone's talent, respect their mind, or appreciate their work. But idolize them? Never. Why? Because once you idolize someone, you stop thinking clearly. You start seeing them as flawless, and that's dangerous. Sigma females know that everyone is human. Everyone has flaws, contradictions, and hidden motives. So instead of blindly following or worshiping someone, they observe, quietly, with curiosity, not devotion. They might listen to someone's ideas, but they'll also question their patterns. They might admire someone's charisma, but they'll watch how they treat people when the cameras are off. Sigma females have this built-in radar that constantly scans for inconsistencies, not to judge, but to stay awake. They don't get swept up in hype or charm. They trust actions over words and truth over image. And when it comes to relationships, same thing. They won't get so in love that they lose their ability to think. They see their partner as a human being, not a savior. If something feels off, they'll address it. If someone crosses a boundary, they'll walk away, even if there's love involved. Because loyalty to a Sigma female is earned through truth, not blind emotional attachment. This is why people can't manipulate them easily. You can't bait them with status or fame. You can't control them with flattery or guilt. They'll smile, say thank you, and keep their mental boundaries firm. Sigma females don't follow leaders. They watch them, and if the message stops matching the behavior, they'll quietly leave the room. Their loyalty isn't automatic. It's built on truth, honesty, and consistency. Anything less? They'll see right through it, and they won't stick around to pretend otherwise. Number 6. They treat emotions like data, useful but not a compass. Sigma females feel emotions just like everyone else, sometimes even more deeply. But here's the difference. They don't let emotions drive them. They treat emotions like data, signals to pay attention to, not orders to blindly follow. Most people either drown in their feelings or shut them off completely. Sigma females do something smarter. They listen to their emotions without being ruled by them. If something feels off, they don't just cry, rage, or panic. They pause, they observe, they ask, why am I feeling this? What triggered it? Is this emotion telling me the truth or just pointing to something deeper I need to unpack? They know that feelings can lie. You can feel rejected when you're actually being protected. You can feel angry when you're really just hurt. You can feel scared when all you need is clarity. That's why Sigma females use emotions as inputs, not commands. They gather the information, but they always run it through logic before making a move. It's not that they're cold or emotionally detached, far from it. They're deeply intuitive, but that intuition is built on emotional intelligence, not emotional impulsiveness. They won't burn a bridge just because they're mad. They won't beg to be loved just because they're sad. They'll sit with the feeling, study it, and decide their next step once the emotion has passed through the filter of reason. This makes them calm under pressure, steady during conflict, and nearly impossible to manipulate. You can't emotionally hijack someone who understands their feelings better than you do. That's what makes Sigma females quietly powerful. They don't react, they respond. And when they respond, it's thought out, intentional, and often leaves people stunned by how composed they are. They don't suppress emotion, they master it. And that's a level of power most never reach. Number 7. They silently test people, and most fail without knowing it. Sigma females are always watching, but not in an obvious or dramatic way. They observe in silence, calmly reading between the lines while the rest of the world is busy talking. And here's what most people never realize. They're constantly testing you, not to be sneaky, but to figure out who's real and who's not. They don't announce it. There's no formal test, but they'll casually drop a thought that's a little deeper than normal conversation. Or they'll share something slightly personal to see how you handle it. They might even go quiet on purpose, just to see if you notice, or if you only value them when they're entertaining you. These aren't games. These are filters, and trust me, most people fail without even realizing it. Why? Because Sigma females aren't impressed by surface charm, quick compliments, or flashy energy. They're paying attention to the details, how you listen, how you treat people when no one's watching, how consistent your words are with your actions. They drop these little intellectual breadcrumbs, subtle cues, emotional check-ins, and your response tells them everything. If you dismiss it, fake your way through it, or try too hard to impress them, they clock it instantly. They'll smile, nod, maybe even keep talking, but you've already been sorted into a category. Not out of judgment, but out of self-protection. Because Sigma females don't let just anyone into their inner world. Access isn't based on how loud you are or how close you pretend to be. It's based on how genuine, self-aware, and emotionally intelligent you are. So if you ever feel like a Sigma female has quietly distanced herself, don't take it personally. Just know the test already happened. And your response? It gave her more answers than your words ever could. Number 8. They reject nice girl conditioning, and the world punishes them for it. Sigma females don't do nice girl behavior. They're not going to shrink themselves, over-apologize, or play the polite, agreeable version of a woman just to make others comfortable. And the world doesn't like that. From a young age, women are taught to be likable, soft-spoken, and agreeable. Smile more, don't make waves, don't be too intense. But Sigma females, they see that for what it is. Conditioning meant to keep women quiet and manageable. And they want no part of it. So they speak up. They say no without over-explaining. They have boundaries. They don't pretend to agree when they don't. And that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Suddenly, they're called cold, intimidating, arrogant, all because they refuse to play small. But here's the truth. Sigma females aren't cold. They're direct. They're not intimidating. They just don't perform. And they're not arrogant. They simply know their worth, and they won't lower their standards just to be liked. Still, the backlash can be real. People may try to guilt them, shame them, paint them as too much or hard to deal with. But Sigma females stay solid. They've outgrown the need to be liked by everyone. They know that being true to themselves will make them misunderstood by many, and they've made peace with that. They're not trying to be rebellious. They're just done pretending. And if the price of being real is being mislabeled, so be it. Because they'd rather be disliked for their truth than loved for a version of themselves that was never real to begin with. And that kind of self-respect, it's rare, it's powerful, and it's exactly why they're not just different, but unforgettable. Number 9, they're not trying to be difficult, they're just trying to stay undiluted. Sigma females often get misunderstood. People say they're difficult, hard to handle, or too much. But here's the truth, they're not trying to be difficult. They're just trying to stay undiluted in a world that's constantly asking them to water themselves down. Everywhere they turn, there's pressure to soften. Don't be too direct, it's intimidating. There's pressure to submit. Don't take up too much space, let others lead. There's pressure to entertain. Smile, laugh, be agreeable, make everyone feel good. But highly intelligent Sigma females, they see that for what it is, a slow, daily erosion of their identity. And they refuse to play along. They're not out here trying to stir the pot or be rebellious for the sake of it. They just know the cost of compromising their mind, their essence, their soul. It's too high. They've worked too hard to unlearn the noise, sharpen their thinking, and stand in their truth. So no, they won't dumb themselves down to be more approachable. They won't pretend to agree just to avoid discomfort, and they won't shrink so that others can feel tall. It makes people uncomfortable. It challenges the roles society expects women to play. But Sigma females aren't here to be comfortable. They're here to be whole. If that means some people find them too intense, so be it. If that means walking alone sometimes, they'll take it. Because what they're protecting isn't ego, it's authenticity. And once you've tasted the power of being fully, fearlessly yourself, there's no going back. So no, they're not being difficult. They're being honest, focused, undiluted, and that's exactly what makes them unforgettable in a world full of copies. Number 10. They reject forced sisterhoods and fake female bonding. Sigma females are not here for the girl gang just because it looks cute on Instagram. They don't do forced sisterhoods, and they're allergic to fake bonding. You know the kind where everyone pretends to be close, but it's all based on gossip, subtle competition, and unspoken rules about how you're supposed to feel, think, and act. Yeah, no thanks. Sigma females don't bond just because you're the same gender. They bond through depth, truth, and shared values. Not matching outfits or group chats filled with emojis and backhanded compliments. They're not trying to fit into some sorority mindset where everyone nods in agreement just to keep the peace. That kind of emotional conformity feels suffocating to them. They're not cold. They're not antisocial. They just have zero interest in pretending. They won't fake laugh at a story that isn't funny. They won't agree with a decision just to support the sisterhood, and they won't show up with forced enthusiasm for people they don't trust. For Sigma females, loyalty isn't about showing up for every brunch. It's about being real, being consistent, and having substance. If that means standing alone, they'll stand alone with their head held high. They'd rather walk solo in truth than be surrounded by people who only clap when it's convenient. That's what makes them intimidating to some and magnetic to others. Because when they do connect with someone, it's genuine, deep, and unshakable. But getting to that level, that takes time, observation, and real alignment. So no, they're not trying to be too cool for female friendship. They're just not here for performance-based relationships. If you want surface-level bonding, look elsewhere. But if you're real, grounded, and don't mind a little honesty with your loyalty, then you just might earn a seat at their table. Number 11. They question every norm, even the ones that benefit them. Sigma females are not the type to blindly accept anything, even if it benefits them. That's what makes them different. Most people, once they're getting the perks or the praise, stop questioning the system. They just enjoy the ride. But Sigma females, that's exactly when they lean in and ask, wait, why does this even exist in the first place? It's not about being contrarian or difficult. It's about staying true to their inner compass. They don't just want to win. They want to understand the whole damn board. They want to know why the rules are the way they are, who set them, and who's getting crushed by them behind the scenes. If they're praised for being quiet, they'll ask, why is silence more valued than substance? If they're rewarded for following the ladder, they'll question, who built the ladder and what's at the top? Even if a system favors them, status, looks, intelligence, they don't let it blind them. They think deeper, broader, more long-term. That's why Sigma females don't fall into the trap of comfort. They're always scanning for hidden costs, moral ones, mental ones, societal ones. They don't just want to benefit from a system. They want to know if it's just, sustainable, and worth being part of. And because of that, they often walk away from situations most people would die to stay in. They leave titles, roles, relationships, even opportunities, because if something feels fake, exploitative, or hollow, they'll let it go, no matter the perks. That's the kind of integrity most people preach about but rarely live. Sigma females live it quietly, consistently, and without asking for applause. They don't just question the world, they question themselves too. That's not weakness, that's real strength. And that's why they don't just move differently. They think differently. In conclusion, Sigma females didn't wake up one day and decide to be different for the sake of it. They didn't read a self-help book and build a personality. No, they became this way by surviving, thinking deeply, observing patterns, and refusing to let the world dilute their essence. They act different because they are different, and not in some shiny, performative way, in a way that comes from years of inner work, solitude, silent struggles, and an unshakable need to live in alignment with truth. They're not loud about it. They don't need a spotlight. But you feel it when they walk into a room. That quiet self-possession, that depth, that refusal to shrink or sell out. And maybe that's you. Maybe you've always felt a little off-script, like you couldn't fully play the roles handed to you. The nice girl, the agreeable one, the people-pleaser. Maybe you've questioned things others just accept. Maybe you've felt punished for being honest, or too aware, or too much. But here's the wisdom. You're not broken. You're not too anything. You're just a Sigma female in a world that still hasn't figured out how to define you. And that's okay. You don't need to be defined. You just need to keep being real. Even when it's lonely. Even when it's misunderstood. So keep questioning. Keep observing. Keep honoring that strong, intuitive, independent mind of yours. Because your difference isn't your flaw. It's your superpower. And if that resonated with you even a little, then do yourself a favor. watch the video all the way through. Not for validation, but to remind yourself that you're not the only one walking this path, and trust me, there's strength in knowing that. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.